At Arizona State University, we've made online education better, smarter, and more personalized so you can go further in your aspiring field.
I decided to pursue medicine once I realized that ASU did have the online program for biological sciences. You're still required to learn the same curriculum. You're still being tested on the same content that anyone would be tested on in person. The comprehensiveness of the program prepared me so well for medical school.
Explore over 300 programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Tired of trying diet after diet without results? Mochi Health offers a long-term weight loss solution personalized to your needs. Our board-certified obesity doctors and registered dietitians provide expert guidance to help you succeed. Eligible patients can access custom-formulated GLP-1 medication at an affordable set price delivered monthly. Take our free quiz at joinmochi.com and use code AUDIO40 for $40 off your first month. That's joinmochi.com.
At Arizona State University, we've made online education better, smarter, and more personalized so you can go further in your aspiring field.
I decided to pursue medicine once I realized that ASU did have the online program for biological sciences. You're still required to learn the same curriculum. You're still being tested on the same content that anyone would be tested on in person. The comprehensiveness of the program prepared me so well for medical school.
Explore over 300 programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Calaroga Shark Media.
When Pope Leo first appeared on the central balcony of St. Peter's Basilica, following his election on May 8th, observers of Vatican fashion immediately noticed significant changes. The simple white cassock and silver cross that had characterized Pope Francis were replaced with more elaborate traditional vestments, including a red satin shoulder cape called a mozzetta, a burgundy stole decorated with gold embroidery, and a golden cross suspended from a double strand of silken gold cord. Throughout Pope Leo's initial weeks in office, Catholic observers who follow liturgical fashion continued to spot additional traditional elements returning to papal attire. These included details like cufflinks, white trousers, and decorative lace, all elements that had been largely absent during the previous papacy. This is white smoke. The shift in papal wardrobe has prompted speculation about whether Pope Leo's embrace of traditional vestments signals broader changes in Vatican policy and approach. After the revolutionary style of Pope Francis, Vatican watchers are questioning if this return to historical papal dress indicates a more comprehensive return to traditional practices. For the specialized liturgical tailoring establishments in Rome, Pope Leo's fashion choices represent potential business opportunities. These elite craftsmen hope that the Pope's embrace of traditional vestments might influence clergy throughout the Catholic hierarchy, creating increased demand for formal religious garments. Reverend John Walk, who teaches church communication at the Pontifical Holy Cross University in Rome, describes Pope Leo's clothing selections as a return to form. He notes that the current Pope's attire resembles that worn by Pope Benedict XVI, Pope John Paul II, and pontiffs dating back to medieval times. According to Walk, these choices demonstrate a respect for tradition. This emphasis on traditional papal presentation resonates strongly with conservative Catholics. Many traditionalist believers had grown frustrated with Pope Francis's informal approach and perceived dismissal of established customs. The previous Pope's restrictions on the traditional Latin Mass, which predated the modernizing reforms of the 1960s Second Vatican Council, particularly concerned conservative Catholics who felt these changes created unnecessary division within parishes. Pope Leo has demonstrated strong proficiency in Latin and has begun conducting the Sunday midday prayer in the ancient language. Some traditionalist Catholics hope this linguistic emphasis might signal a reversal of restrictions on the traditional Latin Mass, allowing greater access to pre-Vatican II liturgical practices. Massimo Fagioli, a theology professor at Villanova University, where Pope Leo completed his education, cautions against drawing premature conclusions about policy changes. He suggests it remains unclear whether Pope Leo's traditional vestments and liturgical style will translate into substantive reversals of Pope Francis's reforms regarding Latin Mass access. However, Fagioli acknowledges that American conservatives appear particularly pleased with Pope Leo's return to traditional papal fashion, especially given Pope Francis's documented disdain for ceremonial pomp. He suggests that Pope Francis might ultimately be viewed as a temporary departure from established papal traditions, rather than a permanent change in Vatican style. During his inaugural Mass on May 18, 2025, Pope Leo revealed additional traditional elements when he extended his arm to sprinkle holy water. Observers noted he was wearing a shirt with cufflinks, a detail Pope Francis had generally avoided. He also wore an amito, a decorative linen cloth placed around the neck, an alb, which is the white tunic worn beneath ceremonial vestments, and a cingulum, a braided rope belt with tassels. Photographers with telephoto lenses captured another subtle but significant change: Pope Leo's switch from Pope Francis's standard black trousers to traditional white papal pants. Without careful photographic documentation, this detail would have gone entirely unnoticed by the general public. Beyond clothing changes, Pope Leo has restored other Vatican traditions that Pope Francis had abandoned. Most notably, he has shown willingness to accept the traditional baci a mano, the ceremonial kissing of the papal ring. Pope Francis had consistently disliked this practice and frequently withdrew his hand when people attempted to kiss his ring. Reverend Walk interprets these changes as Pope Leo's willingness to embrace tradition, even if it appears more formal than Pope Francis's approach. He suggests the current Pope views tradition as a treasure to be conserved and embraced, rather than something that creates distance between the pontiff and the faithful. The Pope has also been known to sometimes don a White Sox cap. A new study from the Pew Research Center reveals a complex picture of Catholic life in America today. While 1 in 5 Americans still identify as Catholic, the majority practice their faith in ways that would have been unfamiliar to previous generations. The research, based on a survey of over 9,000 adults conducted in February, shows that though many Catholics might pray daily, attend weekly Mass, or go to confession annually, very few do all three regularly. Only 13% of American Catholics engage in this traditional trio of practices that once defined observant Catholic life. Nicholas Hayes Mota, a social ethicist at Santa Clara University, explains that these findings reflect decades-long trends. He notes that certain external observances of the faith, particularly confession and increasingly even Mass attendance, have become less central to many Catholics than they were for earlier generations. The numbers tell a revealing story. About 20% of Americans currently identify as Catholic, down from 24% in 2007. This decline reflects broader patterns of religious disaffiliation across the United States, though the trend has begun to level off in recent years. What's particularly striking is how Catholics approach their faith today. When asked what's most essential to being Catholic, 69% chose having a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. 50% emphasized devotion to the Virgin Mary, while 47% highlighted working to help the poor and needy. Receiving the Eucharist was chosen by 46% as essential. The patterns of practice vary significantly. Half of American Catholics say they pray daily, while about a quarter attend Mass weekly. Only 23% go to confession at least once a year. On the other end of the spectrum, 22% of Catholics say they seldom or never pray, and 40% seldom or never attend Mass. Nearly half hardly ever or never participate in the sacrament of confession.
There's always something brewing behind palace walls, whether it's Prince Harry and Meghan Markle making headlines from afar, or Prince William and Princess Catherine quietly preparing for the future throne. I'm Mark Francis, and on Palace Intrigue, we cover every twist, turn, whisper and wink. From royal drama to daily gossip, follow Palace Intrigue wherever you get your podcasts.
When the world's most powerful people go to war, we can't look away. Welcome to Feuds, Power, Pride, and Payback, the podcast tracking the explosive conflicts shaping our world right now. Presidential administrations fracturing, tech billionaires threatening government leaders, entertainment titans destroying partnerships with single social media posts. These aren't just headlines, they're windows into how power really works. We deliver daily episodes when news explodes, weekly deep dives for perspective. From Washington power struggles to Silicon Valley vendettas, we decode the psychology behind the drama and reveal why these feuds matter far beyond entertainment. Feuds, Power, Pride, and Payback. Today's conflicts are tomorrow's history. Available wherever you get your podcasts.
My name is Marcus Cole. I coordinated operations you'll never read about. January 2018, Tehran. We stole Iran's nuclear secrets from a warehouse in 6 hours. That heist began 7 years of shadow war that ended with Operation Rising Lion and a new podcast from Calaroga Shark Media. My brother died in 2002. I've been carrying his dog tags and calculating impossible decisions ever since, trading lives like variables in an equation. Every operation saves some people by destroying others. I keep a private file of everyone who died because of missions I planned, their names, their families, their dreams I helped destroy. This is the story of how we prevented nuclear war and what it cost us to become the monsters who saved the world. Operation Rising Lion, the new podcast from Calaroga Shark Media. Available wherever you get your podcasts.